The light bulb. If there's a common theme to this list, it's that no major invention came from a single stroke of genius, from a single inventor. Every invention is built by incrementally improving earlier designs, and the person usually associated with the invention is the first person to make it commercially viable. Such is the case with the light bulb. We immediately think of Thomas Edison as the electric light bulb's inventor, but dozens of people were working on similar ideas in the 1870s. When Edison developed his incandescent bulb, Joseph Swan did similar work in Britain at the time, and eventually the two merged their ideas into a single company. The bulb itself works by transmitting electricity through a wire with high resistance known as a filament. The waste energy created by the resistance is expelled as heat and light. The glass bulb encases the filament in a vacuum or an inert gas, preventing combustion. You might think the light bulb changed the world by allowing people to work at night or in dark places. It did to some extent, but we already had relatively cheap and efficient gas lamps and other light sources at the time. It was actually the infrastructure that was built to provide electricity to every home and business that changed the world. Today, our world is filled with powered devices that we can plug in pretty much anywhere. We have the light bulb to thank for it. The automobile. If the steam engine mobilized industry, the automobile mobilized people. While ideas for personal vehicles have been around for years, Carl Benz's 1885 motor wagon, powered by an internal combustion engine of his own design, is widely considered the first automobile. Henry Ford's improvements in the production process and effective marketing brought the price and the desire for owning an auto into the reach of most Americans. Europe soon followed. The automobile's effect on commerce, society, and culture is hard to overestimate. Most of us can jump in our car and go wherever we want, whenever we want, effectively expanding the size of any community to the distance we're willing to drive to shop or visit friends. Our cities are largely designed and built around automobile access, with paved roads and parking lots taking up huge amounts of space and a big chunk of our government's budgets. The auto industry has fueled enormous economic growth worldwide, but it's also generated a lot of pollution. Penicillin. It's one of the most famous discovery stories in history. In 1928, the Scottish scientist Alexander Fleming noticed a bacteria-filled petri dish in his laboratory, with its lid accidentally ajar. The sample had become contaminated with a mold, and everywhere the mold was, the bacteria was dead. That antibiotic mold turned out to be the fungus Penicillium, and over the next 2 decades, chemists purified it and developed the drug penicillin, which fights a huge number of bacterial infections in humans without harming the humans themselves. Penicillin was being mass-produced and advertised by 1944. This poster attached to a curbside mailbox advised World War II servicemen to take the drug to rid themselves of venereal disease. Computers. A computer is a machine that takes information in, is able to manipulate it in some way, and outputs new information. There is no single inventor of the modern computer, although the ideas of British mathematician Alan Turing are considered eminently influential in the field of computing. Mechanical computing devices were in existence in the 1800s. There were even rare devices that could be considered computers in ancient eras, but electronic computers were invented in the 20th century. Computers are able to make complicated mathematical calculations at an incredible rate of speed. When they operate under the instructions of skilled programmers, computers can accomplish amazing feats. Some high-performance military aircraft wouldn't be able to fly without the constant computerized adjustments to flight control surfaces. Computers perform the sequencing of the human genome, let us put spacecraft into orbit, control medical testing equipment, and create the complex visual imagery used in films and video games. If we only examine these grandiose use of computers, we overlook how much we rely on them from day to day. Computers let us store vast amounts of information and retrieve a given piece of it almost instantly. Many of the things we take for granted in the world wouldn't function without computers, from cars to power plants to phones.